Hello, thanks for inviting me to address the first Asia CCUS Network Forum. I'm here as chair of the executive committee of OGCI, the Oil and Gas Climate Initiative. This is an initiative bringing together 12 of the largest oil and gas companies of the world, many of them with a strong presence in Asia. It is a CEO-led group focusing on climate actions. And indeed, CCUS is one of our key priority areas. So it's with great pleasure I meet with you today. And your convention is timely, because it's timely now to get together to see how we together can accelerate the development of an economically viable and safe carbon capture usage industry. CCUS is very important to meet the ambitions of the Paris Agreement and a prerequisite for a successful decarbonization of many of our industries. IPCC, the UN Panel on Climate Insights, in their scenarios suggest actually at least 1 to 5 gigatons of CO2 would be needed to be captured by 2030. The most recent IEA scenario suggests the need to have at least 1.6 gigaton CO2 captured per year already by 2030, raising that to 7.5 gigaton in the coming decades. Other scenarios envision an even stronger need. Yeah, the current levels of capture is very far cry from that. It's only at 0.04 gigaton per year. So looking ahead, we will probably need to see an increase 40-fold of CCUS in the coming decade. This is a big challenge, particularly when we do know that it takes nearly 10 years to develop a viable CCUS project. The lead time is that time consuming. So now is really the time to act. And we need to act now. The good thing in this picture is that technology is emerging, and probably now we're starting to be at the forefront of, or at the brink of, having a series of decisions to be made. And we are starting to see shifts. In 2020, the investments in CCUS rose by nearly 200%. But I think it's right to say this industry is still in its infancy. We should really together strive to see a cost curve and a learning curve development similar to what we've seen in renewables, despite the differences in the industry, of course. We need now to push an effort on all fronts to bring economy of scale and start implementing. So from our perspective, what is really needed to scale up CCUS? 3 things stand out. We need a favorable policy environment. CCUS is a cost, it's a large investment, even if it also brings value through jobs and it allows us to optimize existing infrastructure, it's a cost element. And in order to build a business case, we really do need an enabling policy required. That could be carbon pricing, support schemes, or partnerships. The second thing we need to do now is to collaborate to build value chains. We need to strengthen the dialogue between large emitters and the ones who are able to capture and safely store CO2. We need a platform to have an opportunity to, on the early stage, exchange ideas and opportunities and jointly develop CCUS projects. In OGCI, we have developed something we call the OGCI CCUS Kickstarter. The purpose of that is to work with governments and across the industry to help facilitate, bring together the necessary market conditions for investments, the actors, and bring them together in projects. And I'm delighted to see that ASEAN is coming together to create a similar forum. Thirdly, we still need technology costs to come down. This is probably best done through actual projects. But finally, of course, I think the most important thing we need is to see leadership. Leaders willing to act and willing to go forward and help create this industry. And the potential is large. We have actually just completed a study we called Global CCUS Hub Search. In that study, we used a number of parameters to identify what could be possible future hubs. Where do we see clusters of CO2 emissions? What is the enabling policy mechanisms? Do we see a proximity to storage and geological layers where we can store the CO2 in the vicinity of where we find emissions? We have made an initial data set. 52 countries have been evaluated, and the result still a bit tentative, but we identified more than 212 hubs accounting for nearly 5.7 gigatons CO2 annual emissions. Out of those areas, we identified that there were nearly 100 hubs that could combined offer a CCUS capacity of nearly 1 gigaton of CO2 at a cost below $100 per ton. Some countries with a very positive CCUS deployment outlook include Canada and Europe, but also Japan, South Korea, Singapore, the Middle East with United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and also Brazil and South Africa. In Europe, we're seeing some limited storage options, and we're also seeing the same in East Asia, contributing to a higher cost. If we zoom into what that study learned us about Asia Pacific in particular, in Asia Pacific, you actually see the largest CCUS potential worldwide, with a potential of nearly 52% of the global CCUS capacity by 2030. In our study, which included the entire Asia as well as Australia, 10 countries were evaluated, and we identified 60 hubs, accounting for more than 3.3 gigatons CO2 annual emissions. 43 of those 60 hubs, we saw that there may be a possibility to capture around 650 million tons per year at a cost below $100 per ton. It's a huge opportunity set. Most of the countries assessed in Asia have a high techno-economic CCUS potential. However, the policy and regulatory framework environment needs further development in order to proactively support and help accelerate CCUS implementation in the region. So that should probably be one of the key focus areas for this group. As we see it, mainly Australia had a complete regulatory CCS framework by 2020. Another tool that we have developed is over the last year is something we call the OGCI Storage Resource Catalog. The aim of that catalog is to help establish a better set of criteria to evaluate, standardize, and to publish independently information on storage sites on one single website. We do update this resource catalog annually, and I'm sure that you will find it very interesting to look into that catalog. This year, the storage catalog also included several Asian countries, such as Indonesia, Japan, Malaysia, and South Korea. Next year, we plan to expand it further to also include Thailand, Vietnam, and Brunei. In practice, we have also been working together with one of the member companies of OGCI, namely CNPC, to look at what would be the CCUS opportunities in China in particular. So CNPC was leading this pre-feasibility study, looking at opportunities in the northwestern part of China. Here we found that the a hub, if we were to establish that in that area, holds the geological potential to store more than 3 million tons CO2 per year. The potential emitters in the area include refineries, chemical production, and a power facility. Local geological storage sites have been identified. Now, OGCI and CNPC are currently exploring opportunities to invest in CO2 transport and storage infrastructure, and working with the government and the Chinese ministries on also CCUS policy and regulation. I mentioned these things to show that competence and insights are evolving quickly now, and there are plenty of opportunities to engage in a dialogue and to look and to explore further information. Because now is the time to collaborate on CCUS. In OGCI, we do call for and invite and encourage collaboration to deploy CCUS also in Asia. I'm therefore delighted to see the leadership taken by you and the ASEAN. I think it's a first step towards several opportunities for collaboration on CCUS in Asia. From OGCI's perspective, we really do look forward to continuing to share knowledge and success factors, to work collaboratively on developing policy mechanisms, to help inspire leadership, and to engage together on projects. I wish this important meeting and your work a great success. Thanks.